And I think it's because accountability exposes identity. And so most men don't even have this. It's already a false identity that they're putting out to the world. And as soon as they come into a brotherhood or a community or a tribe, it exposes that men who are developing, who are maturing. It's not what you say. It's not your words is what you are. It's what you actually do.
The Art of Rising, where comfort transcends, discipline is born, and those who choose the fire rise above everything that tried to break them. Step in, step up. All right. Welcome to the Art of Rising, where we are exploring leadership, transformation, and visionary consciousness, changing the planet. I have the great honor to sit with an amazing brother here, and I had to chase him for a minute, but I finally got him. And why? Because he happens to carry some of the codes that we're looking for. So stick around. Let's hear what he's got to say. Brother, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're at.
Absolutely. Thanks, Omar. Happy to be here and have a have a discussion with you. I am my name's Trent Christie. I'm from Alberta, Canada, so up in the Great White North here. And yeah, I do some coaching and run a 12 Labors program. That's a rites of passage for the modern man. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting up to up here.
Yeah, that's what we were doing also. Like I was mentioning to you offline about came back from a men's training and we're just pushing men to the edge and beyond, because there's so much that they're leaving on the table these days. It's as you already know, this society is like way out, bro. Like
Yeah.
way, I don't even want to get into that. I mean, but for those that are looking for that thing, to be a man and to receive those rites of passage, because
Mhm.
that's one of the points that we were pushing also. We work
Absolutely.
these job 9 to 5 and there's nothing. The rite of passage I received was like go drink some liquor and get
Yeah.
a few girls. That was my, yeah, it was no
Yep. Same here.
announcement, no gathering or nothing like that. But in these types of environments, yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit about when you're working with the men, man? Let's jump right into it. How about this rite of passage?
Oh man, we come at it from quite a few angles. So basically, we have structured a rite of passage around the 12 labors of Hercules. So we use myth to go through what masculinity looks like and how it relates to men. And the reason why we use myth is it creates just enough separation between a man and his ego that he doesn't feel attacked when he starts learning these truths about who he is and what he does. And yeah, so we go through physical trials, mental trials, spiritual trials, being out in nature, and yeah, we take on everything that may not have been passed on to us. Because as you were just saying, like there is no rite of passage in modern Western society anymore, and we're running into a lot of problems because of that. And I don't think many people realize that yet. And that's what we're here bringing to the table, showing like, hey, we need to bring some of these things back and educate ourselves because we've never had it, and that can help us as we move forward.
Amazing. I love it. Tell me more about that the Hercules mythical. Yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, well, Hercules, we use him because he's I don't know if you do much work into archetypes, but he's this very strong warrior archetype. And I found he relates well to modern man because we're very one-dimensional and we think that it's just this got to be this tough bravado, strong masculinity. Strength is strength, like it is physical strength, but that also becomes your biggest weakness. And Hercules is a great example of that. He's got all the strongest men in the world. He's a demigod, but then when he goes into a situation, he just uses that strength, breaks something, then he's got to atone for his sins. Then he comes back, breaks something, then he's got to atone for his sins. And he never quite understands the pattern or why he's doing this. And so it relates very well to modern men because they go through these actions, keep running into the consequences of them, and they don't understand what patterns they're operating from. So they can kind of use his arc and his mythos and start to see, oh yeah, that's going on in my life. Oh yeah, that's going on in my life. And they start to
Mm.
see these things that they can't quite comprehend if they've gone deep in there, because that ego will be like, don't look at that. I don't want to deal with that. That's too much trouble right now. I want to protect you. But getting outside and going through some myth brings all this distilled wisdom from the ages, from millennia, back through to the present, and they start to recognize these patterns and like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing how this works. So yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, well, we are demigods, actually, right? We, if you
Yeah.
read many different scripture of all kinds of sacred texts, it tells you that we are God. We have the DNA of God. We
Mhm.
create incredible things, and we have the power, so much power that we don't tap into it. We seem to have forgotten
Yes.
it, or they're hiding it from us. I mean, you already
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
I love the archetypes that you were speaking of, and Joseph Campbell always
Yeah.
comes to mind. Actually, the men's training that we um, just finished coming back from, the stewards of the land, they are in charge of over 250 acres of land, but
Nice.
the gentleman there bought the land about more than 30 years ago, and he studied under Joseph Campbell. You
Oh,
know,
cool.
yeah, yes, very close with him, and helped him write some books and all of that. So you already
Mm,
could see like the level of mentality. And then when I came with, hey, I'm bringing men over here. This is what I want to do. They were like, oh, come on in,
yeah.
So
Yeah. It's powerful.
Joseph Campbell, he was a scholar, and he spoke often about that, about the cave. We have to go in.
Yes.
The dragon is there. Yeah, I know. The bigger the dragon is hiding the big treasure. That's
Yeah.
why we have to go in.
Totally. Yeah.
And what do you see when you are working with men and they're, you know, trying their best to move past or face some of these issues or these dragons? What is it that you're seeing, and how do you help them, approach that?
Yeah. The honestly, the biggest takeaway for a lot of our program is just giving men a mirror and giving them a brotherhood to be around, and that mirror combined with time. So we run the 12 labors across a year. So we're together as a group going through all of these different parts of our life together, and then when we get out and do these physical things like out at your training and going through these, we get out and do these trials out here. uh, when men start to share, I'll give you an example. One of our events last year, we do this hike, and then we take on this really steep part, and we do it 3 times in a row. So we do it for three times for a reason, but it's very steep. It's really difficult to do, but not hard enough that you can't complete it. So when we get done, we all sit at the top. We'll have a fire. We'll sit around and discuss what happened. And I kind of ask, like, what went through your head the first time you came up the hill, and then what went through your head the second time, and then what went through your head the third time. And one of the first times we ran this event, the first man who shared, he's like, well, the first time I was hating it. He goes through all these things and then walks through this arc of what he was thinking. And then as soon as he's finished talking, another man was like, word for word, that was what was going through my head. He's like, I didn't realize that you think like me. And then a couple more men are like, I'm thinking, and all of a sudden they can open up because they're like, I'm not broken. I'm not separate. We are all thinking a lot of the same things, but we're silos. We're lone wolves. We don't talk. We don't communicate. And as soon as that first wall kind of gets broken down, then it starts to bring together this brotherhood and these guys who are moving forward with the same values and trying to develop and grow and learn all of these things. So between time and facilitating that brotherhood through challenge, it opens the door for these guys to start confronting some of these things inside them that they've never really looked into before.
Pure transformation. I tell you, we do similar work. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to
Yeah.
connect with you, because that program that you have, like, wow, man, lots of things very similar. And I see that you've created this program for men to step into, and it's looks super powerful, man. And how long have you been doing it?
So we're coming up on 2 years. So we ran the first year just private. And then early this year, we launched it publicly. So now we're out and we're expanding. So yeah,
That
it's been
that's great.
fantastic.
It's deep work, and it's a lot of the work that a lot of people don't want to do.
Yeah.
They just rather give out medication like candy. Like,
Yeah.
I went to the doctor the other day, and the guy, he didn't even touch me. He wrote me a prescription. I was like,
Yeah.
you didn't even want to know what I'm. It's just
Yeah.
horrible, man. but these environments that you're creating, it's a chance for men to let go and pain. It's always that pain that's there that we push down every day, and the fear too, because we're afraid to open
Yeah,
up, we're afraid to face some of those things, but was
absolutely.
there a moment that you realized that most men aren't afraid of pain, but what they're afraid of really is looking at themselves you know
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've seen that with working with men, but probably the moment I've realized it is just in my own life. And so
Mm,
through my journey in stepping into becoming a man, when I was young, 5 years old, I went through fourth stage cancer. So I
mm,
wasn't supposed to live, missing a bunch of bits and pieces. And so I saw hospitals, chemo, radiation, poking, prodding. So my body was accustomed to pain, not a big deal. But what scared me was what came later on in life. And when I was 30, I went through a divorce. And at
mm,
that time, my identity stripped, to sell my business, and you're in this mode where now you don't know what to do. And you're like, okay, I've got to go inside. I got to go internal and start realizing, how did I get here? Like, what decisions did I make to get here? How did I become this person that ended up in this situation that I never thought I'd be in? And
mm,
then really starting to discover, like, how do I move forward from here? And so that's hard work. That was the darkest years of my life, and I was like, "I'll take a broken bone or get beat up or whatever any day,"
mm,
as opposed to having to go in and really do that inner work, especially the first time. Once you do it,
mm,
it just opens the doors to everything for you, so you're not afraid of it anymore. You start to
mm,
integrate all those dark parts of yourself that men don't want to confront because they think they're bad or they're evil. But it's like, no, this is just part of you. You're already perfect, man. Like all these things shouldn't be at war with them. They're part of you. So how do you learn to integrate them and make them work for you as opposed to constantly being in battle against them?
mm,
So yeah, a lot of it's been from my journey, and then now watching other men who they go through the same thing. We're all built very similar, and we have the same issues, even though we don't communicate enough to understand that.
Yeah, that's so true. And you did make a great point about, alluding to the fact that we are perfect, right?
Yeah.
We're perfect. You
Mhm.
see some guys walking around and go, oh, well, nobody's perfect. We are. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? God doesn't make imperfect things.
Yeah.
We're perfect. When we see the deer, right, running in the forest, you go, "Oh, that's perfect. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's God." But then when you look in the mirror, you go, "Oh, it's garbage. I'm not perfect. What are you gonna do?" And like, no, you are, brother. And I tell them sometimes we pick up things along the way. We
Mhm.
have to let go of those things. Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Yeah.
But we come into this realm perfect, and we pass on perfect too,
Yeah.
man.
Absolutely in agreement. Yeah, totally.
Mhm. And how about like when men finally do confront themselves? What do you usually see them facing first? Is it grief or anger or relief or a
Mm,
combination?
yeah.
or
Yeah, yeah. I think a combination, and really probably when they first start to confront themselves, frustration as a precursor to anger, just
Mm,
being frustrated by these patterns that run them that they've never really noticed before, and which can lead to anger. Can be like, well, why did this happen, and why am I like this? And this is where I try to get away from. As I give them a lens to view these things, they realize that there's no shame in it. You're not broken. These are a lot of these things aren't you. There are things that you've absorbed from the environment. They've been patterned into you, and they're not right or wrong. It's now, do you want to keep it and move forward with it, or do you want to leave it behind? Like you just mentioned, like some of these things you want to let go of because they're not helping you. And so it starts with that frustration, then maybe anger, and then as they get this awareness and this lens to view who they are and what they are, relief starts to come in. If they actually do the work, they start to realize that there is nothing wrong with me. This is
mm,
just this is who I am, this is how I'm built. I'm perfect. And now,
mm.
yeah, some of these things I don't want. They're not helping. So yeah, we can get rid of them, but
Mm.
I don't need to go to battle against myself. I'm already whole. I just need to learn how to integrate these things into me. So
Right. I often mention Don Miguel Ruiz from the Four
mm,
Agreements, right?
yes.
And in the book, he mentions that we're domesticated like
Mhm.
dogs. That's a
Yeah.
hard reality
Yeah.
to look at, man. Like all of this that is here, they tell us, what our food is, the
Yeah.
clothes that we're supposed to wear, our culture, our names, our religion, our
Yeah.
God, our temple. Like, but we didn't make any of that, which is
Yeah.
terrible, and then it keeps us disconnected, right? But
Yeah.
then I feel that men really are craving brotherhood. They really want that. But what I
Mm,
do notice, Trent, is that once brothers come in, and then there's that accountability.
mm.
You see, this is
Yeah.
where some men drop off because they be like, I do whatever I want, man. Don't be calling me about I'm supposed to be working out. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This is the brotherhood right here, man. So do you find that this happens with, some men resisting this accountability?
Yeah. It's men especially. And I think it's because accountability exposes identity. And so most men don't even have this. It's already a false identity that they're putting out to the world. And as soon as they come into a brotherhood or a community or a tribe, it exposes that men who are developing, who are maturing. It's not what you say. Uh, it's not your words is what you are. It's what you actually do. And if you actually show up to this group, you're seen. Now there's nowhere for you to hide, no mask to hide behind. And so most don't even wanna even approach it. So they won't even start. So,
Mm,
like, you'll
mm,
get the odd person who starts and kinda is a little shy at first, and eventually they'll become vulnerable and move in. But I find that most men won't even start the process because they're
mm,
so afraid of exactly what you just said is they don't wanna be accountable. They're not accountable first to themselves. So now how can they be accountable in a group? Because they've never even led themselves. And so they don't want to feel that. They don't want to go through that journey to come out the other side stronger. And so they won't even get started.
mm. How do you help men face that mirror? Well, are there techniques tell me, what's the process?
Yeah, honestly, just giving them a new lens to view things in, as opposed to being right and wrong. More so, there's some really good work by Robert Persig. He's got a couple good books, but he talks about dynamic and static patterns. And basically, instead of looking at things as right and wrong, I give this lens of static and dynamic. And so I'll give you an example. Like if you're climbing an ice wall, you've got this pickaxe, right? So you take this big dynamic stroke, you grab in, and that's the thing that saves you. So this dynamic action saves you. Now, as you're climbing, this becomes static
Mhm.
because it's holding you in there, it's securing you, you're safe. But as
Mm,
it comes down here, the thing that saved you up here is now the thing that's holding you back from progressing in life. And so it's not that the thing that could be right and save you today is the thing that 5 years from now is holding you back. So
mm,
your savior here is now your devil. And
mm,
so it's not necessarily right or wrong in that when you start to explain it with a different lens, now you can kind of let the shame go because you're like, this isn't about being right or wrong. This is just, this was working here, but now it's been static too long. It needs to be dynamic again. You need to evolve. You need to progress forward. And then that'll become static again too. Like you constantly need to be growing and moving on. And just by giving that lens helps them get away from, oh, it's not just black or white, good or bad, right or wrong. There
mm,
are these nuances to or this spectrum of where things work and where they don't work. So that's a big part of what we do. And we do that with a ton of different things because
mm.
something lands different for every man. But
That's true. Sometimes you push a man physically and he just snaps and cracks wide open, and then other guys,
yes.
nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's always that guy. Sometimes at the very end, right? We were doing a men's training. We went camping out in the wilderness. It was powerful. And this one brother, he all this knowledge, and he was sharing, during the few days. And then at the very end, one of the other brothers looked him in the eyes and said, "I see you, brother."
Mm,
He broke down. I mean, I'm thinking
yeah.
about it. My hairs are going up. He
Yeah.
went to the floor crying. We all came around and held him, man. It was great, man. It was great.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful.
yeah, these environments, they're really, really needed, and especially, with this masculinity, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of distorted in this culture,
Yeah.
in this comfort culture, right?
Mhm.
Because, like, for instance, Trent, I ordered a lamp the other day and it came with a remote control. A remote control for the lamp. Just get up and turn on the light. Oh my God. It's just this
Yeah.
comfort thing. So tell me, how does it work when men are with you and they get away, and the physical aspect, the hardness of it, the things that you don't want to do type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Comfort is a that's a big part of the problem these days. I'll maybe preface this a little bit with the work we do with rites of passage and the reason why we have rites of passage, especially for men. So basically, to talk about what a man needs, let's talk about what he isn't.
Mm,
And with women, when we look at a mother and she has a daughter, the daughter becomes an extension of the feminine. So she moves forward as just an extension of the feminine. And then she'll go through biological rites of passage. So menstruation, having a child, and becoming a wife. There's all these biological things that are built in, these biological rites of passage. So she
mm,
can't get around them. Now, when we get into boys, it's a different situation because a woman now gives birth to a son, and that son is of the mother, but he's not feminine. But in those first 15 years, he's in this nest of comfort. It's secure, it's comfortable. There's no responsibility. He's taken care of, he's protected. And then we go through this rite of passage where, or we should go through this rite of passage where there's a death to the boy, and then the man emerges and he comes back as a provider, the protector, the one who now has this role as an elder in the tribe. And we lack that. And so, because we've never had this transition period from boyhood to manhood, we're constantly being pulled to comfort. So every time our society is giving us more and more comfort, it's pulling us away from being a man and it's regressing us back to being boys. And so our society is a bunch of adult sized men, but they're all boys on the inside. Their psychology is little boys. And
mm,
it's not even to say that it's our fault. We've never been taught, like, this is a generational thing that's happened over a long period of time. But at some point, you've got to cut ties with that comfort. You've got to cut ties with that. There's a season, but
mm,
then you move into a new season where that's not something that you fall into anymore. So yeah, I think comfort is a huge issue with
mm,
society. It's great to have some things that make life a little more efficient, but you also need resistance to build
mm.
anything. Like, you go to the gym, you need to have resistance to build muscle. If you only have comfort, you just become a big bag of milk. Like, that's so yeah.
Yeah, I do think of like the Spartans or other cultures like that, man. Like we just have no idea. Guys are
Yeah.
walking around complaining about. I'm like, bro, you're complaining? Come on, man. But then I catch myself sometimes too. Like something that
Mm,
happened in the house, with the kids or something. Then I just lose it, like, and then afterwards I go, what was that about, bro?
mm.
Kids do that, man.
Yeah.
Come on. That was like,
Yeah.
but I don't kick myself, or weak
Yeah.
about it. No, I see it, I realize it, and I go, okay, no, note it, got my journal, things like that. We're big on journaling, you have to keep
Yeah.
score, keep record, write things down, and then try for the next time,
Yeah.
that's it, and be
Exactly.
smoother.
Yeah.
But this society it's really, really difficult to navigate some of these waters these days, as a man, because there's so much comfort coming on. But I think it's only when men confront themselves,
Yeah.
that's really when we give them that mirror, and do you find that also, the
Yeah.
transformation happens and, stuff like
Yeah.
that?
Well, because we lack an external rite of passage, we're all kind of left to do it ourselves. And so this is why you need to find other men who are going through this and doing events like you do events and programs like I do,
Mm,
so that you can get out there and start to have some camaraderie and guys going through the same things you are.
mhm,
Because again, with modern society, there's always two sides to the coin, right? The benefit of not having this rite of passage is autonomy. You can be whatever you want,
mm,
do whatever you want, which is great. But then the bad side is, well, who am I? What am I
mhm,
supposed to be? What am I supposed to
mhm,
do? I have no idea. Every day I've got to wake up and go improve myself day in and day out. And there is no witnessing of, traditionally, when you go through a rite of passage, there's these elders and these men who now recognize you. when you come out the other side and you have this new role, this new identity that
Mhm.
can never be stripped from you. Whereas now we don't have that. So every day you might have one really good day and have just awesome, made some sales, made some money, or really just crushed it. But then you wake up the next morning and you start all over because I got to go prove myself again. I don't
Mhm.
know what I have to do. And so yeah, it's finding other people and finding places where you can kind of give this to yourself as we
Mhm.
start to build some actual significant rites of passage back into society.
Mhm. And some clarity too, right? Because I
Yeah.
find that a lot of men don't even know what
Yeah.
that is. Like, what, like, a man, yeah, I got all the parts. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
man. You're like, no, bro, it's more than that, right? I
Mm,
thought it was that also,
yeah.
but then as you go along, you're like, it's not just the parts, man. It's what is it that you do when no one's looking?
Yeah.
So do you help men, or how do you help men, get on that path of like discipline, of consistency,
Yeah.
planning, those type of things?
Totally. So we in our program we run every month we run a physical, a mental, and a spiritual challenge. And so we walk through and we have calls where guys are checking up on each other with the fitness side of things, but we also work out together all the time, like throughout the year. And as you go through these monthly challenges, you also unlock gear for a kit. So like a rucksack, a saw, all these things that we use in our final rites of passage. So it's actually mortified, motivating because
Mm,
it's gamified. So every month you're going through these progressions on like, what are the patterns that I'm operating under? What do I want to change? Purpose, clarity, and who you are. We go through everything is because we're going through for a year. And then physically you're getting stronger throughout the year. And you want to be keeping that up because by the time you get to the end, we have some bigger events that you want to be in shape for. And
mm,
so that you get motivated to go through these things. And really the biggest motivation is just seeing other men doing it with
mm,
you. And when you see 7 other guys do it and you're the one who didn't, you're like, "Oh, I better pick up my pace here and join
mm,
in," because you never want to be the guy who's not adding to the group, right? So,
right, right.
yeah, just providing the environment with all the men together who are on this individual journey, but at the same time going together as a
Mm,
tribe, it
mhm.
really builds that internal motivation to go through and learn and yeah, come out the other side with clarity.
Yeah, I did have this one brother that came, and after we had the training, he said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to scare you or something, but when we were out there hiking, man, it seems like you were the father, and you were helping the." I said, "Listen, you ain't scaring me at all, bro." I said, "Look at me, however you want to. I don't care if you see me as I don't care."
Yeah.
But being that you took something from that man and you stepped up, that's what matters, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
Yeah.
that many men look at you like that also,
Yeah.
depending on you, like, hey, you're the leader now. What's going on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. Yeah. Facilitating it is kind of puts you in that role, right? It puts you in that kind of father figure position. And that was some of the men's comments after our first year was like, thank you for kind of filling that gap because a lot of us are in that same boat. We have fathers, but we never had anybody kind of do this with us. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I need it just as much. So being here with you guys in going through this with
Mm,
you helps me grow just as much as it's helping you. And so yeah,
mhm.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I know the healers need healing too, right?
Yeah.
I know that happens to me,
Mm,
because when I get together with the men, there's lots of things that come out. Like we have workshops and all this, but then, these fireside chats and this
mm,
deep work, and oh man, lots of tears, and some of them are mine.
yeah.
Yeah, I let it go too, man. See, but
Mhm,
lots of laughter also, like good belly laugh, so
yeah.
it's a mix of things. And there's a lot of men that I noticed that haven't even gotten away in some of these things. Like they've been on vacation, or you could eat and booze it up and all that. Oh yeah, they did that, but stuff like this, no. Do you
Yeah.
find that? Do you find that a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
men are like, man, I never even did anything like this?
Yeah, yeah, like, the some of the new guys in the 12 labors, they've been loving it, and then they get excited because they're learning, they're growing, they're doing all these cool things, and then they go and tell their friends or their coworkers like, "Hey, you should come and do this," and then men are like, "You're crazy." not doing
Mhm.
anything like that. And then
Mhm.
it's just that comes back to your point on resisting that accountability. They don't want to be accountable to anybody else. It's just easier to escape or numb or just avoid that work.
Mhm.
And that's really trying to find how we can help men kind of bridge that gap to actually get
Mm.
in and actually start doing some of this.
When we do the men's training, we is a couple of things that we do, but one of them, Trent, is helping men to have
Yeah,
those atomic habits that you speak
yeah,
about, right? I saw your last post there and
yeah.
I was like, yes, 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 yes. Because for a long time I was like that. Like even when I was going to gym, I was, oh, I'm up early, I'm doing it. Now I'm fumbling through the dark. Where's my
Mhm.
socks and where's my and now 2 hours went by. I'm like, I'm gonna be late. But the book, like the light went on in the room. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, have everything ready.
yeah,
Prep it, have it there ready. Yeah. So
yeah.
why don't you tell me a little bit about that atomic habits in your life? How does it look for the life of Trent? Stuff like that.
Habit stacking. So
Mm,
I know you do the cold plunging. I've been doing ice baths and ice showers for about 7, 8 years. So
mm,
that's probably where I really started developing that first thing. And I used to get up early to work out, but then I started with a cold shower or an ice bath, whatever. Well, this time of year it's too cold out for the ice. I can't run water outside, so I do cold showers in the summer or in the winter. Summer I'm outside. And
mm,
so then once I got that cold shower going, it took me a little while to get that going first thing every morning.
mhm,
And then I just, like he says in the book, I stack that with I would do that, then do some stretching. And then I would actually do breath work before and then
mm,
stretching. And then I kept stacking things. So now my morning routine is like first thing, cold shower, then my breath work, then I do some stretching, then I do a meditation, then I do my workout. And so after, but it's taken me 7, 8 years. But now I have all these habits that are stacked on top of each other. And each one took 6 months to a year to really solidify in there.
mm,
And I think that's where people will miss it is you have to do this for a while. It's not like we live in that gratification society where you think like, yeah, I'm going to make that change. And tomorrow it's like, no, the thing that I want to change in my life right now, which I'm working on, I know that it'll probably take about 2 years before it fully
mm,
solidifies into my life. And so I just keep working on it. And some days I get it, some days I don't. But I
mm,
know because everything else I've done, always within a year or two, all of a sudden it just becomes habit. It's just
mm,
that working on it. So yeah,
mm,
stacking habits is probably one of the best. Find
mm.
that anchor and then just stack one thing and work on that for a while. Then you can stack something else. Then you can stack something else. But yeah,
Yeah, for me, wow, it's been a while. So I'm just at the point that whenever I'm confronted with something that I don't want to do, I
mhm,
know that I have to do that thing. I mean,
yeah,
something as simple as like washing the dishes, or it's late at night and I have to take a shower. I don't want the water to touch my skin,
yeah,
things like that. Once that kicks in and I don't want to do it, I go, that's why you're going to do it. And
yeah,
there I am, man. I'm pushing it. But in the
yeah,
beginning, it was difficult. Like I would go running out and, open the door and wind
yeah,
is whipping and the rain is there. I'm like, I would go back, I would go back in. But now, no, I'm out there. Like I
yeah,
went running today and it was probably about 25 degrees or something like that. It's early, the wind, it's cold, nobody's out there. I'm up at
mm,
4 in the morning.
yeah,
But I'm committed. I'm committed and it just helps me. The benefits. It's just like the cold plunge too.
yeah,
People will go, man, why do you do that, man? And I go, oh man, how is it? I tell them, it sucks. It hurts. It
yeah,
bothers, and your mind is screaming to get out. It's very difficult. They're like, but
mhm,
why you do it? I go, the benefits.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
and that's what I was just going to ask you was that do you think that all the time you've spent doing cold plunge, cold showers has given you that ability to just push through other things like the dishes or other because I've like that's what I find. Yeah, like is that what you found as well?
for sure. No doubt about it. No doubt. So when they come with that BS to me, I'm like, man.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
but I see you. You're obvious. Like, you go bring that somewhere else, man. You're not gonna get. You used to get me, but you ain't getting me no
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
the cold plunge. there's many benefits, right? The
Mm,
physical part of it, and
yeah,
then the do you know about the reticular activating system?
yeah,
Right? So this
yep,
helps, you see, because usually men, especially, we walk around, you know, looking for the negative all the time, like, oh, that'll
yes,
kill you, or I'm not perfect, and those type of things. So your mind is already set on that reticular activating system. But
mhm,
what the cold water does is that it activates it, it stimulates it. So then you start seeing things that you never noticed before. Like,
yeah,
wow, I didn't know that job opportunities there. I didn't know I could have a relationship with that person. I didn't know that I could, create my own program,
yeah,
things like that, or start a podcast, or
yeah,
so yeah,
totally.
or write a
Well,
book.
yeah, yeah, and then like you said, the uh the cold is never fun to go into. Like I've been doing this 8 years and it's still every day. It sucks, but that builds that muscle for that mental capacity to be like whenever something sucks, you're like I just do it because that's my identity. And it's
Mm,
built over time and I think that that's a powerful people argue about the physiology or the physical side of doing cold plunges or cold showers, but the mental
mm,
ability that you
mm.
start to create
Yeah.
by just doing that a couple
Mhm.
minutes every day or 30 seconds every day, it doesn't even matter. You start to build this
Right.
resilience that other people don't have. So it's very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. It's super powerful. And, cold plunging goes back to ancient Kemet, modern day Egypt.
Yeah.
There is the Edward Edfu papyrus that they found. And the papyrus said that they were using cold water for healing purposes. That's how
Mhm.
far so any guy who made it popular, I don't want to mention them because they don't mention me on their podcast, but I like to say that. But it goes back since ancient times.
Mhm.
Even the indigenous people of this land, they would put
Yeah.
their babies in the river ice freezing water to
Yeah.
strengthen their immune system. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, it just goes
It
on.
it comes back to resistance, right? Like warmth is comfort. And so like when you're always in that comfort, you don't grow these other things from resistance. That cold is yeah, that's resistance. That's lifting weights for your body. So it's just you wanna some comfort once in a while is nice. You need to have downtime and recoup,
Mhm.
but we've made it too much of our lives. Everything is always 20 degrees Celsius. For you guys, you're always in Fahrenheit, but it's
Right.
always just one note. You get in your car, it's the same temperature as your house, same temperature as the office. We're never going through these fluctuations, but
Mm,
these extremes are what give you the resistance to build a super body. Like it just
mm.
unlocks all these other
Yep. And
physiological things about you.
and the
Yeah.
mind, it's the mind, the spirit, all of that.
Yeah.
How about, I'm just curious about sweat lodge. Have you
Yeah.
ever? Yeah.
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 So
This
we do no, we do it contrasting. So we will do a sweat lodge or a sauna and do
mm,
our cold plunge, and we alternate for about an hour and a half. So,
nice. Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's super helpful. Andrew Huberman, right? Yeah, he's got the knowledge. I know. See, I'll mention him because he's really good. And he talks about those vascular veins that we have, like in the neck. We need to be up here in the water, and in the sauna, right? We need to be like
yeah,
relaxed with the heat, and then constriction with the cold.
yes,
It's great for
yeah,
blood flow. It's great for, oh my God, your pressure and everything, your heart rhythms, everything. Yeah.
yeah. It's awesome.
What are other things that you do, especially with the men, to push them? Because you mentioned that you do this hiking 3 times up the mountain. That's gotta be woof, but
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, that's one of our events called into or the grind, and
Mm,
then we do the fire and ice, which is the contrasting, and then
mm,
we do, something called into battle. So we actually we have a sand pit and we do war drumming. We do
mm,
some breath work and we'll do some things together there. And then we do wrestling in the sand pit. So
mm,
shorts,
mm,
we got the men war drumming, and then we go in and we start to do this grappling and get back to that primal
mm.
um giving an outlet for physicality. And whenever the men do it, they're like, I haven't felt like this since I was 16 because as adults, they don't have an outlet to be able to be aggressive. And then when they get in there with another man who's 200 pounds and pushing on them, they're like, this is just the best. No one's trying to hurt each other. Everybody's in there to have a good time, pick
Mhm,
the other guy up. And a
mhm,
great thing that's come out of it is like we do a lot of work on archetypes as well, because it's something that men really connect with. That lens of archetypes just
Mm,
gives them the,
mm,
it's almost like they see the matrix, like all the letters come in, I can see
mm,
my whole life now. I can see all the things I'm doing because I operate in these patterns. And they come out of that thinking that it's the warrior when they're wrestling. And sure, there's a bit of warrior, but it's all about the lover and having
mm,
those relationships with
mm,
your brother. And then you're in there to pick him up and help him get better. He's in there to pick you up and get better. We do it in the forest. The sandpit's built into my backyard in the forest here, and you're connected again to nature. And so there's this whole lover archetype that starts to come in, that they
mm,
then recognize coming out of that. They're like, oh, this isn't just about
mm,
discipline and fighting. This is about being connected to a tribe, being connected back to
mm.
nature and my own spirit. And yeah, it's super powerful.
Right, and then the alchemy begins. That's where the magician rises, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. There is a spiritual component to these things. There
Mhm.
really is, and that's also missing in our society too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's lots of religions out there. I mean, but
Yeah.
quite frankly, if you look at those things a little closer, there's still famine in the world. There's still
Mhm.
wars that go on. There's still, horrific crimes that happen. So
Yeah.
these things, I wouldn't want to see a world without these things, but we need something else.
Yeah.
We need
Totally.
to get back to spirituality. And so
Yeah.
perhaps you could tell me, Trent, how does that look, when you're with the men, and what sort of component is rises there?
Yeah. So like we start out with my light's a little bright here, but we start out spirituality because most men will come in thinking religion. Like you said, they're like they think this idea. So we really explore it. But like the first month of our spiritual challenge is just get rid of your technology and go sit in nature for an hour. Like
Mm,
just get away from all the stimulus of the world. Go out there and just sit there or go for a walk, but be out in nature by yourself. And then that progresses throughout the year, even to the point where, yeah, we talk about the word, the etymology of the word spirit or inspire, to be in spirit when we're breathing. It's you're getting oxygenated. That is to be in spirit. That is what
love that.
inspires you. Right. And so we start to give these lenses and this older wisdom that's never been taught. And then they start to see it from oh, this is part of who I am. And I do a lot of work with alchemy. And so I'll integrate the body, mind, soul and start to go through all of that with them as well. But
Mm,
yeah, that's how we do it, and we just slowly build it up over time,
mm,
and
mm,
eventually it starts to turn into purpose. Like once
mm.
they get their physical figured out, then they start to get the clarity mental. It always leads to the spiritual side. Like, what is
Right.
my purpose? How am I connected here? What does this all mean? And
Why
yeah,
am I here? What is, yeah, I know.
mm,
I did, when I first started doing men's work, I went to a men's group, and I remember seeing like the little commercial they had. And I showed my wife, I went, "Oh, look, I want my commercial to look like that." And she was like, "They're having that next week." I was like, "Oh, I should go to
yeah,
I didn't even think about going, and I went,
yeah,
"You know what? She's right." And I went, and I bring another brother with me, and I met like over 30 men. It was wonderful. But there was that component of the wrestling too. And
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm with it. I'm open right away." So I got up, called another brother out, and there we were, man. We went 3 rounds, bro. Like
Nice.
totally gassed out, man.
Yeah,
Just it was great. It was just amazing. And then the endorphin rush, the dopamine rush, like, oh man, like you're on fire. Had nothing to do with win or lose. No, nothing like that, man.
yeah.
It was spiritual.
Yes,
I felt
spiritual.
it
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
totally.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And but I feel that men need to come back to some of this, to
Mm,
have these challenges. So, in particular, with the water plunge that we did in the mountain, the river water from the waterfall,
mhm,
we modeled this after Masagi. Masagi is the water purification ceremony that's
mm,
preparing you for something bigger with the year coming forward. We should all
nice.
have one thing or two or three, whatever you choose, but there should
Mm,
be one, like that marathon, or that competition, or that, book you're writing, or something like that. So,
mhm. Yeah.
it's a wonderful thing to incorporate, with men and challenge them in that way.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But then like the spiritual aspect that you spoke about, and I find that sometimes men have that challenge because they're not sure, or they hear certain words, or we're drumming, oh, are we chanting? I can't do that. Like, bro, take it easy, bro. Like, do
Yeah.
you find that some guys step into this like
Oh,
this?
yeah. Yeah, they're always worried about it, and then to see them out there actually with the drums, they look so awkward at first, and they don't wanna get it, but then after a little while, they really get into it, and then
Mm,
they come out of it saying like, "I really didn't think I would enjoy that, but it was like
mm,
I." Some will realize, like, I'm missing that creativity in my life. Like,
mm,
almost the hitting of the drum was like an
mm,
outlet for something that they're not able to get out. Like, the wrestling's one outlet, but
mm,
then even
mhm,
hitting the drum is a whole
mm,
'nother almost creative. They're
mhm,
creating a beat, the other guys are following. Uh, yeah, it's really
mhm,
interesting. It's a little different for everybody, but it's a
mhm,
very out of the box thing for men to do. But then
mm,
when they do it, like you said, like, it's a spiritual thing. They're in bare feet, they're in the sand, they're in the middle of the
mhm,
forest, there's nothing
mhm,
around, there's no buildings, it's
mhm,
just all nature, and then they've
mhm,
got this beat going, they've got all these brothers wrestling, and they're
mhm.
sweating and bleeding together, and then we're eating meat over the fire, and they're just like, this is brings us back to, like, where we
Yep,
came from and
yep.
what we are and connects
Mhm,
us. And
mhm.
so, yeah, they come out of it hugely changed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about that a bit also. Like, how does it look for you, the transformation that has taken place in your life, in your personal, and then some of the stories with the other men, the transformation that they've made, and now with the habit stackings and all of these things.
Yeah. For me, this has been I heavily lean into the magician archetype myself. That's what I've been in for a long time, and that's took me a couple of years to develop this program, just seeing a need for it and
Mm,
then bringing it forth. And that's been a big part of my growth was like actually having being inspired, coming back to that word, being inspired to do something and then not just blocking it and being like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. We all get these instincts and these ideas and then we just shut them down. And I knew when I had the idea for the 12 labors, I was like, no, this is something I have to do. I'm going to have to make time for it. It was 2 years, 3 years in the making before I ever launched it because there was a lot of work and development to go into it. And so that was a big part of my journey, actually stepping into you have this idea, follow your intuition, bring it, bring it to the world, and now just start jumping in and leading it in all these arenas that you've never fully done before. Fitness, yeah, I've run a gym. I owned a gym for 10 years and I've coached people for years already, but never integrating all three components,
mm,
the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, and bringing those together in a package that men can understand. So that's been a
mm,
big part of my journey. And then just going through it, realizing how much I need that tribe as well, because I've been a bit of a lone wolf myself for a lot of years, and it's just helped me. And then watching men come through, it's just yeah, the amount of clarity, like just digging into the language, like just the etymology of words that they don't even know that they're using, and then going back and explaining how we got here, how these things work, the words you're using that are creating your reality that you didn't even realize. And then they come out the other end with this. They've been witnessed by a group of men who now recognize them and the work they've done and the journey they've been on. And so they feel more confident. They have more clarity about their role as a man in their relationship, in their work, in their fathering.
mm,
Um, yeah, it just brings a ton of clarity and confidence as they move out of it. And then they've just got these tribe of brothers who they now have forever because
mm,
they're connected to them and they've actually built this not just guys that you're going to go out and have a drink with. They're guys who are like, hey man, struggling, or can you hold me accountable to this? Give me a call every week and let's connect.
mm,
They start to have that. So a trustworthy brotherhood is what I should say. People you could actually lean on. And so
mm.
yeah, that's what we've started seeing coming through.
Yeah, that's important too. Like from some of the places I came from, trust was always that big thing. Like, hey, can I trust you? And
Right.
I've been deceived so much, and
Yeah.
those type of things. And then we don't trust ourselves either.
Yeah.
Least of all, we're like, I don't think I'll can get through it. I don't think I can do it, or nah, nobody's gonna like me. I don't speak well, or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's super powerful for myself. Man, if I could tell you, Trent, like everything, I'm a better father, I'm a better son, I'm a better person in society, like,
Mhm.
more respectful, I'm
Yeah.
honorable, I live a righteous life.
Yeah.
Righteous is not biblical times. Righteous is for today. Live a
Yeah.
righteous life, man. Be honorable, be respectful, and especially when you have a family too, it's super
Mm.
important. I have two young kids in the house. I have an 8 and a 10-year-old, so they're looking
Nice.
at me very close, yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I need to be that thing, and they see me going out and coming back in. When they wake up, I'm coming in from the run, or they see
Mm.
me doing the yoga, or they see me doing the breath work, or they see me working out and doing strength training and those type of things. And I know that will stick with them. Those seeds are planted,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Those actions here, they see it. They model what you do, not what you say.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I did. My mom, she was always telling me, to do these things, difficult things. And at some point, I was like, "But wait a minute, you don't do it." You see, you
Yeah.
see what I'm saying, right? We
Exactly.
so it's that old adage, monkey see, monkey do.
Hmm.
Right? Because I learned a lot of bad things from my old man, but in the later years as he got older, like I learned a lot from him too. And he was an avid runner too. So that's chances are that's why
Yeah.
I'm running, right?
Yeah.
Stuff
Totally.
like that. And
Yeah.
but
That's
but
awesome.
it's really important for men to step into these things and these programs. So we're coming up on the hour. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about the 12 labors and how does it work and how can somebody get into this?
Yeah, yeah, they can shoot me an email if they want to learn more. But basically, we run the 12 labors through an app. So we have a whole curriculum, but then we meet bi-weekly, almost weekly on Zoom calls. Once a month, we meet in person. For guys who are distance, we run quarterly events as well. So like our Cerberus event is coming up in the beginning of January. So that's where we run 3 rites of passage in one day. And then at the end of the year, we run a big weekend event. So you can hit up those 3 rites in one day, plus our solo night out in the forest, plus our night together out camping. And so we've got those events. So you're constantly connected. If guys are close, we're doing those in person once a month. If they're at distance, as we expand out, I move around. So I'll meet with some of the guys a couple hours in that direction, and then we'll zoom in the other guys, or I'll go a couple hours in that direction, zoom in the other guys, and as we grow bigger, then we'll expand further and further out. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
call. You can shoot me an email, or you can check out my Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and learn
mm.
more. And yeah, I can show you all about it.
And you're in Alberta,
I'm
Canada,
in Alberta,
correct?
Canada. Yeah,
Yes, I got one brother. I met him in the jungles of Peru, and I'm still in touch with him, man. I'm gonna let him know, go check you out, and maybe I'll get up there sometime too, man. I'd love to,
yeah,
take
yeah.
a road trip or something like that, man. Get up there and see what you guys are doing and be a part of it, and vice
Yeah,
versa too. We're here and
absolutely.
located in North Bergen, New Jersey, and we're
Yeah.
actually the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. That's who we are. You see, so
Cool.
my name is Omar and my wife's name is Aziel. So we're the
Uh,
Omziel. Yeah.
yes. It's
So some
good.
people are like,
Yeah, no,
hey.
I definitely, if I can make it out east sometime in the future, I will be for sure. I'll come and join you guys.
We're 20 minutes right out of Manhattan, right out of Midtown and
Okay.
Uptown also. So we're kind of close to the action, but not too close.
Yeah.
And currently we're making our stand here and we open our home. I went from a guy who I didn't want anybody in my house
Mm.
unless you had liquor or something else, then you could, yeah, you see. But
Yeah.
now I opened my home up to everyone. We turned our two-family home into the sanctuary that it already is.
Hmm.
So we have these festivals that go on also, and it's called the Purple Sage Festival. So
Nice.
that name seems to be sticking. We went through a few other names, but this one is right on, and it includes musicians, artists, healing modalities, great food, it's a dry event, so no liquor,
Yeah.
no, altered substances. No, it's
Yeah.
good for the families too. And then we go into the night, around the fire, and people sleep over. So it's a whole thing that we have. And
Awesome.
but it's the men's work that is really really deep, and I'm enjoying it. It's making me a better man too, brother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. Sounds like you're doing great work down there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, brother, and all your energy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you again for having me on and
Of
having this talk. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
anytime, brother. So stay right there. Thank you, family, for